Hello. In this short video, I want to look at what is required on an MLA outline that you will turn in my classes. There's a template that you can download that will show you exactly what I expect an MLA outline to look like. Most of the material on the page in MLA outline will be very similar to how you would format an MLA page normally. Your heading is pretty much the same. You have your student name, you have the teacher name, and then you have the class and the date. Pay attention to the order that the date is in. It moves from the smallest unit to the largest unit, so day, month, year, and there is no punctuation between any of those items. You then continue with double spacing and you go down and type a title. The title should be centered and then you'll begin your outline. Let me say a couple things about spacing here. When you space your work, you want to select everything that you have on the page once you're done, and you want to go up to paragraph, and there's a little box you can click in the bottom right hand corner of the paragraph unit section in the toolbar at the top there. And if you click on that, it will open up a window that has several options that you can choose from. You want to make sure in that window that the spacing before and after your paragraph is set to 0. So you can see here that while the top one is at 0, so the before paragraph is at 0, the bottom one is not. You want to fix that. You want to make sure that they are both set to 0. And then you want to make sure that on this that it is set to double or exactly 24. So you can set it to double or you can set it to exactly 24, assuming that you're using 12-point font, which you should be. So that would be correct. It would also be correct to just click on double. And then you go back to your page and you'll see that shifted slightly. What looked before like it was double spaced wasn't actually double spaced. And so you need to check that. You also need to check and make sure that the margins, both the top margin is set at 1 inch and that the margin from the left-hand side of your page is set to 1 inch. In Microsoft Word, the default is actually at 1 1/4. Do not leave it at 1 1/4. It must be set to 1 inch. Once your heading is correct, once your spacing is correct, you go down, type your title, and then begin typing your outline. On your outlines, please make sure that your title is the actual title that your paper will be, or at least that you plan on your paper being. That may change over time, and that's okay. But when you turn it in, do not turn in an outline with the title outline. Unless the outline is part of your paper, like it's turned in with the rest of your paper, your outline should not be titled outline. It should have the title of your paper. You will then have a series of points, and you will make these points using a set numbering system. The numbering system for your major points, the biggest divisions of your paper, will always be Roman numerals. You can see the Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. The way this is set up on the template that I make available to you, the periods after the Roman numerals are lined up. And that's how it should be. You should be able to measure or to put a ruler down on your paper and the periods line up on the Roman numerals. If your text runs over onto the second line should start where the text of the first line started. It should not I drag this out, I'll show you what it should not do. It should not start in line with the Roman numeral. Instead, it should start in line with where the text after the Roman numeral starts. So like that. That should be true all the way down the page with every subsequent level of your outline. That should be true. A couple things that are important here. If this Roman numeral is your introduction, which in most essays that will be the case, do not write introduction beside the Roman numeral. Okay. Your outline should not tell me what you're going to do. You should not say, this is what I plan to do. It should not be anything like that. Your Roman numerals and everything on your outline should include, or should be statements that speak for themselves, not that speak about themselves. The first Roman numeral here should say what your first paragraph is going to be about. And then the subsequent capital letters and any other levels that you develop here will support that first Roman numeral. It is probably a good idea to have your thesis sentence written out as one of these subpoints. I would suggest that your thesis sentence be the last subpoint in your introductory paragraph. Your second paragraph will normally be your first main point, and then everything under that Roman numeral and the statement of what that first main point is should support that first main point. Please remember that whenever you have one level of an outline, you need to have two parts that are in that level that are under the level above it. So if under Roman numeral 2 you have an A, you must also have a B. If under level A you have a 1, you must also have a 2. There should never be orphan levels. There should never be an entry that's just a 1 or just a lowercase a or anything like that. They should always come in pairs. If you don't have a second point to go under A, then the idea that you're thinking of putting beside this 1 should become part of what you state in that level A. There should never be a one entry point for a particular level without a second entry point of the same level underneath it at some point. There may be levels that come between them. As long as it's not a higher level, that's fine. So for example, do not have a level A and then a Roman numeral and then a level B. Before you go back to Roman numerals, there must be a level B in your outline. This is an overview of the main things that you need to do. You'll see on the template the different levels that you will go down. Rarely will you ever go down this far, but in some cases you might. On the top of the second page, you should have your last name and page number in the heading. You'll need to make sure that that is sitting at about ½ inch from the top of the page in the heading. It should not affect the 1-inch margin, which is where the text of your paper should start on the next page, on every page. So the heading goes, the last name and page number goes in the heading about ½ inch from the top, but the margin for your actual paper stays at 1 inch throughout the entire paper. This last name and page number must occur on the second page and all pages after that. It does not need to occur on the first page. That is all I think you need to know to write an excellent outline. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye for now.